All right, welcome, welcome, welcome. We are officially live and we are getting some music. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy Sunday, everyone. We are giving everyone an opportunity to get on, giving some music. Should breathe. All right, good. So we can see everybody. We are currently live on Instagram. Hello, Instagram. We are currently live as well on YouTube. So we are giving everyone a opportunity to come in. Happy Sunday, everyone. Yes, we have the whole family on the screen today. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Please excuse, we are looking at two different screens as well, just making sure that we are getting to everybody at one time. So we are asking you to make sure that if you don't have any family and friends and someone is missing with you, to go get them. As you see, this month is about family, as always, but definitely highlighting family and love. We're highlighting our ancestors and generations that are coming before us. So we are encouraging you to do the same. So if your mother, if a family member, a niece, a nephew, children, we are asking you to go and grab them. For Own Your Mortality is always a family event. So giving you guys the opportunity to jump on. Also, as you're jumping on, what are you eating today? So what did we eat today, ladies? Jamaican jerk chicken, and we got some roasted vegetables that are in the oven and preparing for us. We will be eating Sunday dinner together after we do complete our lives. So we're going to lower our music. We're hoping that you are grabbing, if you have not started to eat, I'm grabbing you a snack, or again, drop in the chat what you are having for dinner today. Please grab you a beverage to go with our Jamaican. I'm having a pineapple ginger soda, so that is one of my favorites. So welcome, welcome, welcome. So giving again just a few more minutes for everybody to tap in. We're going to get started. Welcoming you again to our monthly live hosted by Own Your Mortality. This live is entitled Have a Conversation with Your Family. Have a conversation with your family, and we call it Dinner at Granny's edition. And it is paying tribute to both of my grandmothers and the comfortability that they have provided in our families of being matriarchs, but also involving us and reminding us the importance of gathering. So outside of holidays, simply just on Sundays, at both of my grandmother's houses, we would come together as family. It created a environment of good food, good laughs, some love. Also, just even an opportunity. Sometimes there was conversations that necessarily weren't the easiest to have, but because we were in environments with food and good things, then it did make it good for us. So it is 5:04. I'm going to lower this music so we can get started. Again, I am asking you, if there is someone that you don't see in the room with you, to make sure that you are tagging a friend, making sure that the family, if they are in the house, get them in front of this TV now. So I'd be remiss if I just didn't introduce myself and welcome you back. In addition to welcome, if you is your first time just joining us, my name is Amina Calland, also known as a Death Care Jawn, bringing to you Own Your Mortality all day, every day, 365 of encouraging the community, our households and our families to own our mortality, to change the narrative of trauma, to encourage pre-planning and loving on each other, and changing the narrative that we're actually no longer going to be burdensome on each other, but yet we are going to continue the legacies and to continue to stand on our ancestors' shoulders as if they have prepared for us. This February, with the topic being sharing your end of life plans with your loved one, I have a little surprise for you. So I did post that I was going to be speaking and coming to you guys by myself today, but there is a little surprise, and I would like to introduce these two beautiful ladies that I do have sitting here with me. So to the right, your left of me, I do have my mother, Wilhelmina Calland, and then to my left, to your right, I do have Tori Calland, who is my niece. So with the theme of carrying on in reference to love, and with the theme of also carrying on and ending what we call Black History Month, but just reminding that Black history is 365. I thought that it was most appropriate to make sure that I was bringing some additional people to Sunday dinner at Granny's house with me. So these are two ladies that a lot of times, of course, you don't see behind the scenes, but these are two of the ladies that typically on Sundays and or other times that I am sharing some family time with, creating memories. And also, these are two ladies that are participating in my part of end of life planning and or both not only preparing for myself but preparing for these two ladies too. So want to introduce those two and welcome them to the live. This is the first time. This is a family affair. So we're hoping that we can leave you with some phenomenal information today. So just starting off, hello family, hello Ms. Numa, how are you? Good to see you. So also giving you guys the opportunity to pay homage to your family as we're getting started and a few people are jumping in. We're asking that in the chat, if you can please share with you, share with us your family's name, who you are paying homage to today. We are paying homages to the Hendersons, the Johnsons, and the Calland family, as well as the Greens. So we are asking, who are you in representation of Black History Month and representation of our ancestors? Who will you be paying homage to today? So it is a family affair. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Also reminding, if you have not, please make sure that you are subscribing to Own Your Mortality. For every day, we are looking to make sure that we are keeping you connected. So today's topic, again, the importance of sharing end-of-life information with the people that you love. So in February, we highlight two very important things: Valentine's Day, the theme of love, as well as Black history. But we're also reminded that both of these items, while they are highlighted in February, these are both two very important topics that are taking place 365 for us. So 365 Black, highlighting history, 365 highlighting our ancestors of who we're coming from, but also 365 highlighting the importance of love, loving on family, even in when things are not necessarily the easiest, doing everything in love. So that brings to our attention the importance again of sharing end of life plans. So what happens is that always encouraging, sometimes in a different light, when it's difficult to talk about end of life, we get creeped out, right? So we're talking sometimes about end of life, it makes us feel as a family where we are kind of trying to fast track our time of leaving, rather that we are trying to continue to love for each other and to make sure that when we are not even here with each other, that we're protected and we're prepared. So in these different times, we're discussing and we're talking about what are easier ways to do this. So prime example, simply we are encouraging on Sundays when you're having dinner or you're having an opportunity for some girls' time. This consists of two generations under Wilhelmina Calland, but consisting of three different generations within our families. And the reality of it is that we are taking a stand and we're asking you, to join us with making sure the importance of speaking about life plans so that we're knowing of how it affects our loved ones. A lot of times we simply forget that, yes, with losing our loved ones, it's sad, but also we are causing a lot of trauma sometimes or additional hurt and pain to our families outside of just having simple conversations, or even just speaking to and saying that the different things that we are doing in our everyday of living our best life. My mother has done that to provide a different experience for myself and my brother. Myself and my brother are doing different things and experiences looking to provide a different experience to my niece. So in those regards, just reminding to you that this is no different in what happens in your end of life planning. So prime example, if there are things that we are wanting to continue and legacies to be made, then we are needing to make plans and talk about it. If there are different things that are being created for generations to come, and we are looking to leave them, for our families, we have to have conversations. So I do want to just take an opportunity and just ask a quick question, something of, just sharing candidly that is going on in a lot of different families. Amongst our families, there's a lot of times where we have had the blessings to invest in properties, invest in homes, add assets, And in those things, a lot of times we are also wanting them to carry on to our loved ones. So in just asking a quick question to my mother and saying, what are some things that you can think of just off the top of your head that you would be able to share with myself or to share with Tori that is important, that if and when at the end of life in your planning that are in place concerning assets such as properties, such as homes that we've had the blessings to call our family home, in the hopes that these things are put in place to be left to generations of your children and your grandchildren. What are two things that you can think of something that you have written down to leave with us so that we are able to ensure that these assets are kept within our family?
So thank you, Amina. This is a total surprise. I mean, we're here cooking dinner or getting dinner ready, and we're asked to get on. But I'm glad. I'm glad to be able to greet you and say hello, and also emphasize the love, peace, and family. I really, really am. I count this as a blessing. I want to say, to be very honest, that this is a process when I think about the question that Amina just posed to me. It's a process. And I would like the process to be even further than it is, but I've started the process of, first of all, having conversations that are meaningful, also putting in place a will that is a beginning, and there's even still more. Because every day when I have conversations or I see things on the internet or I hear other friends and family situations, I just know the importance. It is so important to make end of life plans and make it in a realistic type of way where you're not, as she says, spooky about it. It's a process. It's life. We live. We don't come here to stay. We come here to live, love, learn our lessons. So yes, a will is in place, and I've also, just part of my daily and routine of just how I keep myself going. I have things written down in a book. And I've started a new book that basically just has notes of where certain things are or pointing out where things are so that when, and if and when at that time, it won't make it as difficult or challenging. And it's just something that makes it easier on life, and in communication is key. Basically, I want to say that. And as I said, it's still in process because there's still things that I want to do and need to do. But I'm glad to say I've made a start.
And that is very important. So in commending you from just taking the first step and making a start, but also I think setting some expectations for me and this cutie right here of what it is to just begin to start taking the first step and to own your mortality, and no different than from the abundance and love and things that we're working through as a family. Taking the time to just, again, just shout out our family, the Calland's family, the Johnsons, the Hendersons. We see you, we love you. We're also hoping and knowing that these are just continued conversations and resources that we're having, and continuing to pay homage to our families and our lifelines and our legacies to say, let's start now. While we're continuing to have our Sunday dinners, while we're TikToking together, while we're at our family barbecues, we are also taking the time to have conversations so it's not crazy. It is the opportunity, even interesting to say that even if you don't have family that is necessarily an attorney or a friend, even if you don't have family that might not be in the funeral service field, it's an opportunity to continue to share things such as this, and or share with the young generation about the importance of not only leaving things, but also saying, as we're creating these things to do what? Leave them for you. We're creating these things to continue amongst our households, but even to say, taking the conversation to have conversations at the dinner table now, so that we're no longer folding at the funeral table, which is typically happening because we have not an understanding, we don't have the resources sometimes, but then also really what it comes down to is that we simply are not having some of these conversations because we're fearful. So yes, it is very important, Aunt Kathy confirming, to protect your assets so that the state is not the beneficiary. If you have not said anything more truer, just to kind of just share a little bit more detail, that is the next step or the next thing on our task list, to talk about what's the importance of the major reason, leaving your family a gift. When you leave them your end of life plan, it's a gift of love. And that is why we wanted to make sure that we as a family came together and just supporting and or speaking out and asking for a call of action for you to continue to join us and say to you that no one is ever too young to have these conversations. As you can see that we do have this wonderful young lady that is sitting with us as well, because we, again, try to take the time to say, what's the age that you start having this conversation? What's the age that we should start preparing or having certain conversations to say, hey, listen, this is actually being done for you. Or, hey, these are the things that are being done to say, hey, it is going to hurt when something happens to your grandparents. It is going to hurt when something happens to your parents or your aunts and your uncles. But also what's going to hurt is the things that you've been a part of, helping and building throughout the years, the things that you've seen your parents work, sweat, tears that they've been putting into. If things are not written down, legally, there is nothing that you can do with a lot of things without then going into a whole nother pool, a whole nother world of things of what they consider to be probate. Also going into a world that if you're not knowing the wishes or the plans and asking family members, hey, if something was to happen to you today or tomorrow, what would that look like? What would you want? Where would you want to see? What kind of service would you like to have? Would you like it to be here if we're relocating and we're now away from home, which most of us are all doing, even in the up and coming in the young generation? This is the world of serial entrepreneurs. This is the world of moving out, stepping out of comfort zones. And in those cases, it's very, very, very important that we are talking about, having conversations, and making sure this information is shared to our young generation as well. It looks like we have some great commenters here and joining us. We welcome everyone to own about our mortality. We are cracking up as a family, guys. It looks like we have some people joining us that are leaving some amazing comments. So we welcome you to please, 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 okay? We welcome you to own your mortality as well. A family that laughs together, we will always stay together. This is very funny. I don't know if you guys can see the comments, but hello out there, whoever you are, we're hoping that you're owning your mortality as well. But going back to the factor of saying that it is important just simply to continue to give your family sanity and love. Just sharing with you that it is not a good feeling for families to experience what it is, the love of a lost one. I'm sorry, what it is to lose a loved one and there are not an estate plan or end of life plan in place. It is not a good feeling to be in a place where there are children that are underage and or even of age and that their parents are passing away and they're not familiar of how to take care of business or what are the things that they need to be doing. So just continuing again to say love and light, but also saying, how do you take the steps? What are the steps that are needed to share with the next generations to come? So to break up our laughing and also to ask, I did want to just give a quick opportunity and just even just sharing with the young generation. Tori, if there is one thing that you could say that you would want us to tell you, just in preparing you to live what it is to live without us, or live what it is to ensure that anything that any generation from your grandparents, from your parents, from your aunts, your uncles, anything that is being created for you, what is something or that one thing that you would like us to tell you about our end of life plan?
I feel like it depends like how old I am, but I feel like it's never too early to have these kind of conversations because this life, like you have to understand that you're always gonna like you're one day gonna die, but and it could always be like any time, like nothing is like for sure. So I feel like it depends like how old I am. Like
So right now, how old are you right now?
13.
13. So what is one thing that BB and Pop Pop, your parents, do not laugh at our Kathy's comments, or ourselves, what is one thing that we could tell you now to make you feel that if something was to happen, you would at least be able to know that you would be not in a compromising situation?
I have to, like, my mom had this conversation with me before, and she was telling me where everything would be at. Like, she would write to me, like, she just told me where everything would be, and like, yeah, I feel like I just need to know if there's going to be a will, if there's going to be stuff that I have to be taken care of, like when you're gone. Like, I just need to know the important stuff, and like, it would be good to like talk about different like um, life lessons and stuff like that. But
So how does that make you feel?
what?
So how does that make you feel that your mom, myself, BB, Pop Pop, that we talk to you at this early age? How does that make you feel that we talk to you about preparing you about if and when, because it is going to happen at some point in time. I mean, the goal is that we all live well up over 100, knock on wood, with the genes that we have. But outside of that, how does that make you feel that you have even a knowledgeable knowing that we will leave you letters, we will leave you wills, we will leave you instructions to be able to even have a fighting chance, to be knowledgeable, to be able to even hold on and or handle any business and or any assets that are passed down to you from anyone above you? How does that make you feel?
I feel like I'm happy to know like that y'all can talk to me about this stuff, and it's like really early. But yeah, I feel like it's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. It's a regular thing.
There you
It should
go.
be happening.
There you go. So we are asking and continuing you to encourage you guys as well to join in with the conversation, join in with the movement. I guess by default, I can tell you that as the Death Care Jawn, as an inspiring funeral director, that by default, I pretty much wear my family out. I wear them out of encouraging them to join the movement of owning your mortality, asking and for us learning day by day together of what it is to create our legacies as we're living, and to also ensure that these things from generations to generations are being created and or generational wealth is being created and or passed down. And it is not easy. It is a challenge. There are a lot of things. Please know that as a family, there are a lot of things that, as we said, that we have to continue to work towards. But we are saying that continued as our family and all families around in the community, we are asking for us to just stand together, to step in faith and walk in faith, and to know that pre-planning to planning prior to and having a plan is to ensure that you will not be failing as a family. Taking the stand and saying that no longer will our families be in cases that we are no longer transferring generational wealth to the generations to come, knowing that there are things and assets that we have worked day in and day out as our ancestors and continuing on to work for us to have, and that unfortunately the new generations are not benefiting from it. Also challenging to say that it is never too early to start talking to your children, but even to be creative in ways to say that every parent's a little bit different. I am not someone that just of yet have had children of my own, but in having nieces and nephews and godchildren, and just even speaking of myself to say, hey, come on, come take a ride. Hey, look at the things that we are doing, knowing that these things are being built and learned for you. Saying if something happens, these are the different things that you would need to do to ensure that these are staying within our communities, staying within our families, and not being faced with the fear and or circumstances to now have to go and speak with strangers if and when that your loved ones pass away. When you are passing away and you do not have a will, you are passing away in testament and not having access to a will. In those cases that you are required, and there's no way to go around it, you are required to go through the probate process and go through the probate process where the state is assigning an administrator to assist you all. And it is not a cheap process. It is not the most easiest process. There are definitely some families that can speak to and say that it has definitely gracefully been a little bit cheaper and or stress less than some. But if it is something, everyone's estate is a little bit different. Again, it is not something that you want to put upon your family. So we have taken the time and definitely touched on a few things. We are hoping that as a family and or this month, like I said, just continuing to speak about love, speak about our ancestors, highlighting the importance again of the kings and queens that we do come from, our ancestors that we're coming from, and just continuing to stand on their shoulders and stand on our lights as far as our families, reverting and reminding that as families, the importance of us continuing to talk through the different challenges that we are experiencing, but also as a whole and coming together to say, how do we allow our last names and our legacies to continue? So at this time, I want to thank you guys for coming on. I do want to take an opportunity if there's any questions or concerns that you guys have, just sharing and looking at the comments is saying that it prevents you from being fearful of an inevitable. Yes, Own Your Mortality is specifically encouraging you to know that speaking about death is not anything that's going to fast track you to death. There's so many other things that can participate in that. But we're simply saying, why not give your family the love and the sanity of peace of just having a little plan or a sketchbook? Simply saying, hey, I know we might have even had these conversations. Maybe we haven't. But here's a little checklist or a scorebook for you to simply just make this process easier for you. Once creating that plan and taking the first step, again, the next step is simply to just share. The last thing that you want to do is, even if there is a plan, the last thing that you want to do is to be surprised that all of a sudden the plan is coming at a surprise. You're not knowing you're responsible. You're not knowing you're the executor or executress of this estate or will that is coming upon. So let's not surprise each other anymore in positive and or negative ways. Let's make sure that we are coming to the tables as families and knowing. As we are definitely giving an opportunity for any questions to also be dropped down before we do kind of end tonight, just to share a funny quick story as well. Why it is also important to share with your families and loved ones. The importance of sharing your lineage is very important. Not only is it important so you know where you come from as a family, but then also, why is it important to share that with your loved ones? When the time of transitioning and passing, there's a very, very important document that has to be completed, and it's a death certificate. With this death certificate, it requires a lot of different pertinent information. It's very important that you know who your parents' first, last, and maiden name is. It is very important that you're aware of who their parents' were, first and last name. It's very important that you're understanding your lineage so that it is not when you are getting to the funeral home, you are getting to probate, you are getting to the attorney's office, that at that time you are not familiar with the information. So another thing we're going to continue to add to your list is that every time that there is a new family member that's born, or definitely any time where there's generations to come, you are familiar with your lineage. So you can answer questions about them as well. So we thank you for your time and attention. I need to thank my mother, amazing mother, and niece for this impromptu visiting. I'm hoping, again, that you guys are having some family time today. Again, we are paying homage and shouting out Mrs. Wilhelmina Henderson Johnson. We love you. We miss you. We thank you for helping us set the foundation of love and the importance of family. We're also shouting out Granny number 2, Mrs. Elsie Green Calland. We love you and we appreciate you as well. We thank these queens as well as the kings in our family for beginning what it is to know about our lineage and know about our history, but also we are stating the importance of also passing this down to our family so that it can continue. We again invite you to continue to follow and subscribe. If you are not following Own Your Mortality, it needs to happen now. If you are not subscribed to our YouTube, we're asking you to do that. We ask you to continue to stay in contact with you. If there's any additional resources that you are needing that we're not covering, please make sure that you're letting us know that so we can do that. But outside of that, we are going to bid you an amazing Sunday. We're also going to encourage you to please take one thing that you have learned with us today and have that conversation with your family. We're also going to continue to encourage you and charge you to own your mortality and to have these conversations with your family. Good evening.